r/ProRevenge.
Take my tips and pay me below minimum wage. See what happens. Apologize in advance for the walls of text, but this has layers. So this all happened years ago when I was still in college. I worked for a delivery joint. The company seemed super cool because they provided vehicles instead of forcing you to beat down your own car. Huge perk, right? Well, in this case, no. The owner of the company used this as justification to take a percentage of the driver's tips. Often this would result in an employee making below minimum wage. If you made below minimum wage, you would have to come and pick up your check in person and sign a document attesting that you did make minimum wage, due to undocumented cash tips. Or some such nonsense. Now this was a problem for two reasons. Number one, in the state I was in, employee tips belonged to the employee unless part of an employee tip pooling agreement. This was plain as day on the Department of Labor website. So that 20% gouge was already crossing a line. Number two, you cannot just hand wave and/or force employees to say they made above minimum wage. So pretty shady shit, right? Now most people would see this situation and run for the hills, which probably explained the delivery driver turnover being so high. I on the other hand saw the potential. See, I am pretty well versed in labor law, and decided that I was gonna ride it out. I wanted to see how long they would keep this shit up. Here and there I would make comments to the managers about the legality of their practices, and was often told our lawyers said it's okay, so it's okay, would love to meet these lawyers one day. So I patiently waited for a year, documenting every red cent they took from me and encouraging the other drivers to do so. Every new driver that came through that door got a little powwow with me, and I would give them the skinny. Unfortunately, my plan must have leaked because sooner than later the joint decided to fire me after making up 3 bogus infractions. If you're interested in those, ask and I'll explain in an edit. This wasn't a problem though, as my plan was already in action. See, in this state, unpaid wages collect interest. So what was $20 to $40 a night, 5 nights a week, over 1 year, quickly became a decent sum. So I began collecting the names of current and previous employees whom had been screwed over by the company and collected their documented data, then sent it off to the Department of Labor. At the end of the day it took a couple months, but the company was eventually required to pay a decent chunk of change to all parties and a pretty hefty fine on top. Overall I believe it came out to a little under $100K. I wasn't done though. See, those shady little documents they had a sign claiming we made over minimum wage affected how the company was reporting its payroll tax. The IRS eventually came in and hit them for a ton of back taxes, and I received a small portion of the settlement the IRS used to pay people who tipped them off, don't know if they still do. Finally, I was increasingly aware of the company's under-the-table agreement with their health inspector, which I decided to go ahead and tip off to the health department. This resulted in even more fines and a temporary closure for the joint. Altogether it ended up costing this dumb little delivery joint a ton of money just to stay open, all cause they wanted 20% of their drivers' tips. The moral here is this. Know your labor laws, it's degenerates like these whom profit off the ignorance or fear of a workforce. The more you know about your rights, the less idiots like these will be able to survive in the wild. Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Edit 1. Holy shit. I did not expect this to blow up. To address a few things. The infractions that led to my termination and their bullshit nature are down in the comments, hopefully they are not buried. I also wanted to address something I saw in the comments quite a bit. If you are in a situation that does not seem right, document everything. Keep a little black notebook, and write down everything. The most important thing you can do to protect yourself from nonsense in the workplace is document, document, document. If you are ever in question of something, be it disability rights at work or earnings, you can always contact your state EEOC branch or Dole branch. They will gladly help you figure out what is and isn't proper. Don't be a person who gets taken advantage of by bad employers. Only by fighting back will they ever learn their lesson. Thanks again for all the questions, and thanks to you fine folk who found this worthy of an award. I probably won't edit again cause the rules of the subreddit say to not make a lot of edits. If there is reason for a big one though, I will go ahead and make one.
A response to the post.
Here for the bogus infractions. That's some pretty impressive revenge. It amazes me what greedy people will do. Probably because I'm not a greedy, screw others over kind of person. I just can't imagine doing that to someone.
OP's response to this comment.
So the way this joint worked was you as a driver got an insulated box that was supposed to contain the order. You weren't supposed to check the box or confirm the order was accurate. That was another guy's job. So my first infraction said order checker swapped the addresses on 2 orders I was taking. The second I called in that the second one was delivered, they told me I delivered the boxes to the wrong places. Strike 1. Second time they dicked me over, they literally just put empty boxes in my delivery boxes with a phone book, and accused me of taking the food. After this I got permission to start checking the orders after this, and they couldn't get me for a while. Now we drove cars with the company name, phone number, and a vehicle number on the car. For my final one they claimed someone called in, and said that I had flipped off another driver. I would have to have the world's worst concussion to actually think I could get away with that. No matter what I said though, they took the call-in's word as law. They used that to fire me as my third infraction. I had some choice words for the manager, he looked ready to pop. It was amazing.
A response to the post.
It was probably a really fucking stupid idea on the owner's part to screw over and fire an employee that knows you're breaking labor laws and health codes. Hopefully that idiot learned a very expensive lesson here and stopped robbing people that aren't paid enough to put up with their shit. I'd prefer that he lost his business, but we can't always get what we want.
OP's response to this comment.
Yeah, I honestly thought I did enough damage to sink the ship, but turns out the guy came from money and the joint is basically a tax dodge. He keeps it and basically loses money every year to write it off. So I assume the kickback he is getting on his taxes more than made up for it over time.